is to begin. A thousand banners waving in the sky. Here comes our Lazio, the eagle starts to fly.
Every time Lazio play at San Siro against AC Milan, something strange must happen. It wasn't different this time, unfortunately. Lazio lost against, I would say, one of the best Milan we saw this season. But to be honest, that handball of Cutrone in the first goal that made the difference in the end. I'm Vittorio Campanile. We're going to talk about this match and a lot of other Lazio things with Alistair Mackenzie. Hello, Alistair. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I was doing pretty well. I was having quite a good weekend, and this has put a bit of a sour note on it. To be honest, this is a very frustrating game for a number of reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into today.
Yep. To be honest, I was skeptical immediately. I saw the starting 11. I was really surprised. There were rumors that Caicedo could start, but honestly, I thought that after the performance Nani had Wednesday, I thought he was the favorite. And Bastos again was a little bit surprising, especially after Cáceres is here for at least 2 weeks. So I don't know. I believe probably for the first time Inzaghi made the wrong decision and cost Lazio 3 points.
Yeah, it looks like he's human after all. It was strange. It was a strange selection in that I think we said on Wednesday that, the likes of Cáceres not being in the team on Wednesday, we thought we could be with an eye to having him in the team for tonight. So that was a bit odd. Bastos starting isn't the most surprising thing, though. It is the selection of Caicedo, and I would say that not just because Caicedo's not been too impressive since he's arrived, but also because he hasn't featured at all since he's come back from injury. So, you'd expect him to have at least come off the bench on Wednesday at some point, or, had some sort of role to ease himself back into the team. But instead he comes and plays 90 minutes tonight, not even just starting the game, but finishing the game too. And yeah, you're right. I think we were both very impressed on Wednesday with the second half performance and the way that Anderson and Nani played together. So it did seem more likely for one of them to be starting tonight. And the selection from Inzaghi was questionable, and then his substitutions were questionable as well. I think the decision to take off Lucas Leiva was the most surprising thing for me, really, in the second half.
I was going to ask you this, because the two things that didn't convince me was Lucas Leiva coming out immediately, and Caicedo staying in when Nani came in. I can understand you're losing 2-1, so you're trying to recover. But Caicedo didn't do nothing pretty much all the match, to be honest with you. So, I would have taken him out and try something different.
Sorry to interrupt. I think something that Caicedo does quite well is that he links up play well, and he's a good target man. But the thing was, Milinkovic-Savic was getting pushed so high up the pitch that he was essentially taking Caicedo's place as the target man. So there wasn't really any need for him on the pitch anymore.
No.
And the one thing I noticed with him is he doesn't seem to have too much confidence in that when he does win the ball in promising positions, he's always looking to actually give the ball on to someone else to create a chance rather than trying to get a shot away himself. It's amazing how often you see that happen. He doesn't have that natural striker's instinct to turn and get a shot on goal. He seems to always be wanting to lay it off, and he puts in a lot of hard work off the ball. But tonight, I don't think he really deserved to be on the pitch for the full 90 minutes.
No. We have to say that the substitution of De Vrij was because he had a little muscle injured. He asked to get out at the end of first half. Inzaghi, as usual, said to him to keep on, and then he put Felipe Luis in, who, for me, he's playing, who today played really well. I was impressed by Felipe Luis. It was a difficult match, and so I was pleased about that. But again, the subs of Inzaghi didn't convince me. It's not the first time that when Lazio is down, he takes off Lucas Leiva. And not always I agree with that, especially considering that the assist of the first goal was made by him.
Yeah, and that's something that we were discussing as well on Wednesday, was the fact that he's taken on a much more creative role recently, and he is, he's far more than just what he's often billed as being, a defensive midfielder who puts in tackles and wins the ball back and moves it on. He's been so much more than that in recent games, and his assist tonight was brilliant as well as his assist last weekend against Chievo. So having him on the pitch, you're not sacrificing a creative player by keeping him on the pitch. So I found that really strange, because he almost, he does two jobs at once. He gives you security, but he also has an eye for a pass, and perhaps because the opposition maybe underestimate his ability to do that as well, makes him even more dangerous. So, yeah, I find that strange. I mean, having said that, I did think that Anderson made quite a good impact on the game. I mean, the only thing with him really is that there's no obvious position. He's got a kind of free role, and you see him all over the pitch, but he does bring a lot of energy into the game, at least. But I mean, tonight it wasn't really happening for him, admittedly. He didn't really, nothing particularly came off with him. He almost created a goal with that superb cross for Lulic, which he failed to get a connection on. But I was surprised that we had to wait so long to see Nani on the pitch to try and recreate, their relationship from the other night.
And one thing, and I said it already, but maybe it's better to repeat it. You never know, maybe Inzaghi is listening. In this type of matches, I think Lucas Leiva and Nani are fundamental because of their experience, because of how many important matches they played. And you could see it, you said it, Caicedo looked like he didn't know what to do with the ball, or he didn't want to shot on target because he was a little bit scared. Nani is the perfect player that when he has the chance, he's not afraid of trying to score or to do the skill that can decide the match. So, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I see Milan getting a lot of credit for their performance tonight, but I wasn't actually too impressed with them. I mean, they were well organised, and I think it's big credit to them that they've managed to keep Lazio to just scoring one goal, which is something that not many teams have managed to do recently. But I think that given how that second half went, is still a game that Lazio should have really taken something from. And obviously the Cutrone goal is yet another example of us feeling hard done by with VAR. So there's that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we said it already often. It's not the first time that Lazio is unlucky. To be honest, it was tough for the referee to see it, but it's impossible for the VAR not to see that. The thing I don't understand is you have to review every single goal, but when you review it, you have to think about everything. Is it offside? Okay, no. Is he pushing someone doing something wrong? No. Is he touching the ball with the head? Check everything. That's not impossible that you do the VAR only to check if it's offside. You check the VAR, but let's have to do everything. I'm sorry, I have this Milan fan that it's tweeting to me saying that the Cutrone goal was good, even if he hit it with the elbow. So it's really, I don't know what to say. I'm astonished.
Are you arguing with people while you do the show, Vittorio? It's quite impressive multitasking.
Well, sorry guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but he's pretty much saying that he wanted to go with a header, he missed it, and so he touched it with the elbow, and so it's goal anyway because it wasn't.
Because he wanted to hit it.
Yeah, and I replied, okay, so if I go for a header but I miss it, then it doesn't care. I can touch it with the hands, with the elbow, with the shoulder. It's always goal. I wanted to score with the head, It's still goal. I mean, do you hear what you're saying? It's embarrassing, really.
If those are the rules, then I could easily be a professional footballer because I would just pick the ball up, run to the other end of the pitch and throw it into the goal and say that I meant to score, but, I can't.
It's simply embarrassing. And the funny thing is that everybody knows that Sky doesn't love Lazio, but when they saw at the third replay during half of the second half, they saw that Cutrone touched it with the hand. They both went quiet, and Adani said, "It's handball. This goal should be disallowed." End of discussion. But no, Milan fans are blind. It's terrible. I wish it happened against for Lazio. I would be the first to say this is handball. Let's admit it. But
well, you know what this kind of thing reminds me of is the great Miroslav Klose. How many players have been able to do what he did and score a goal in a way where it should be disallowed and actually admit that it should be disallowed? That was an incredible moment, that says a lot about his character. But anyway, the frustrating thing is looking back through our fixtures, it's the first time Lazio have lost a game in 9, but our last 2 defeats in Serie A are the Torino game and the derby. So you've got 3 games in a row now, three losses. That is where in each example you can complain about VAR having a bad impact on the game, and it's frustrating. It really is frustrating because I hate to. I honestly don't enjoy losing games and looking for scapegoats and trying to blame it on something else if the team's not being good enough. But in all those examples, there's the derby game Lazio didn't play well in, but tonight and the Torino game, I think it's obviously two examples of the VAR system really letting us down.
Yeah, and as I tweeted at the end of the first half, I said Milan is playing much better than Lazio and deserve to win. Full stop. There was the handball, but you still have to say that Milan have played better than Lazio. And so, if you have to go like boxing at the points, you say Milan would have deserved to win. In the second half, it was completely the opposite. Lazio dominated. You can say that Lazio should have scored. Donnarumma made a couple of good saves. Caicedo, as usual, you don't have Immobile, so wasn't very dangerous. But that was a clear draw for me, And at the end, you see, and you say Milan played better in the first half, Lazio in the second. What made the difference? That handball. So, this. And as we said, we're going to talk about Inzaghi decision, etc. But probably that was as important as Inzaghi mistakes, I think.
Yeah, I've just seen some of the Inzaghi's comments come up about this decision, saying it's incredible. They'll have to explain this to us too. It's a shame yet again we have to deal with this situation. The images speak for themselves. It's only a matter of time before Simone Inzaghi goes on some sort of murderous killing spree because he's so angry about all this. If there's ever been really a spokesman, an anti-VAR spokesman, I think it's Inzaghi. He must be absolutely through the roof at this point.
I don't know if you saw it. At the end of the match, he went to Cutrone and said, "Very good, you scored with the hand." He touched it, and Cutrone said, "No, with the shoulder." Really. Then we talk about fair play and Italian football, etc. If you don't admit it, it's over. It's not going to change. It's not that if Cutrone at the end of the match said, "Yeah, I touched it with the elbow," and then they redo the match. It's finished. It's done anyway. So, but yeah, terrible.
Well, a couple of positives is number one, we have opportunity in 3 days' time for revenge, which is good. And number two is that Inter have already dropped points this weekend against Spal. So, it's a very frustrating way to lose a game. But on the other hand, it's not quite as disastrous as it could have been. Hopefully Roma can drop points against Samp tonight as well, and like they did
the
a
problem
few days ago. And then
the problem is we could have get more points from Inter tonight, but you always have to see what happens.
But if Inter are drawing with Spal, they're not in a good place. So, that's quite encouraging. I think Lazio, that tonight's game, it wasn't good, but it was the second half performance, the way we dominated that. It still goes to show that Lazio are the stronger team between the two. Between Milan and Lazio have the stronger set of players, and there's enough there. I would still look upon this result as a blip rather than thinking of it as something much more serious.
Yeah. I don't know you, but two things really disappoint me tonight is I remember last time Lazio won against AC Milan at San Siro was 89. I was at Ostia hearing the match on the radio. I want finally to see Lazio winning against at San Siro before I die. I don't know if it's going to be possible. And the second is that Lazio played so much better in the second half. We should have won this match, but too many. I don't know. I hope this was just a poor decision from Inzaghi and will never repeat. But there are some concerns, I think. But in the second half, it was really good Lazio. Now, we're going to play against Genoa, and again, a lot of bad memories there without Milinkovic-Savic. But let's see what happens, I think Lazio in the end played better than AC Milan. But, it's disappointed again to lose like that.
The most disappointing thing for me tonight it was really the lack of discipline as well, because you look at that and I think it was 6 yellow cards by the end, was it?
Yeah.
And now we've lost Milinkovic-Savic and Lulic. I think it's just the two of them for the Genoa game. But defensively, I'm sure we can criticise a lot of what was going on for the two goals, but just I don't know, it's not been a characteristic of this Lazio team to be particularly cynical or dirty in any way, but tonight there was just so many blatant and really poorly judged fouls all around the pitch, really. And I don't know if that's just a result of frustration for how the game was going, but it would be hard to base it on that just because these fouls and yellow cards were picked up throughout the entirety of the 90 minutes. But, you could say as well, though, that if we're going to lose Milinkovic-Savic, the game at home to a team like Genoa is probably a decent time to lose him to suspension. But that was, I don't know if you agree with me, but I just thought that was really strange. It's not something we've seen an awful lot of this season, is having so many, such a kind of poor discipline in one game.
Yeah. If you notice, pretty much all came in the first half where Lazio was really struggling in the midfield. I thought Marusic before the goal was awful. He made a couple of bad mistakes and got a yellow card. Lulic as well didn't play as good as we saw him recently, and again got a yellow card for a mistake. The Milinkovic-Savic one, I think, like the Parolo, was something that, he had to do it, even though I want to see referee give yellow card all the time there. But yeah, you're right. We talk so badly about Casado and Bastos that we didn't have time to talk about Marusic and Lulic. I think both didn't play very well today, at all. So.
No, yeah. I agree. I think, Marisic's goal he took really well, so you have to give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
I think it was a really good goal. And
Absolutely.
To score a goal like that between Lucas and Marisic, it's kind of what goes back to what we were talking about the other night when we were talking about the Lazio attack and how many players that the opposition have to pay attention to, and then we go and score a goal through those two who they probably don't really try and pay too much attention to. So, it was great because something I was saying before not too long ago was that I was a bit worried that Marisic's attacking instincts were being dampened a bit, but that's what we want to see from him. But you're right, because we saw both sides of his game tonight. The way he took the goal going forward there was brilliant, but at the same time, defensively, he had a lot of problems particularly at the start of the game in the first half. Although it was nice to see when he celebrated. He went straight to Basta, and they were all him and Basta both hugging together. The two rivals for that position. Yeah. So that was quite nice.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions already. Let's start with Wilhelm Simoni. I hope I pronounce it right. Thought Lazio played quite poorly, but still managed to get to some pretty good chances. We have to make the most of them. Timing of subs not great, but we beat them Wednesday. Instead. Forza Lazio. Well, we hope to beat them Wednesday, but I agree. Lazio should have, the subs timing wasn't correct, but I thought in the second half, and we said that Lazio played much better than Milan, and so deserved to draw. I don't know if you agree, Al.
Yeah, I think a point would have been a fair result tonight, because when it was simply coming down to the fact that Milan were the better team in the first half, Lazio were the better team in the second half. But I don't really disagree with any of that particularly, to be honest.
Yeah, and then on the second goal of AC Milan, Sil Wilhelm says, I had hoped that Cáceres would have started, so maybe Bastos didn't have to cover De Vrij at the second goal. While Patrick Bowman asked us, in the second goal, was it Stefan De Vrij or Bastos that missed his man? For me, it was Bastos because De Vrij was following Cutrone. And simply, this is something we see often from Bastos. Even in the first goal, he forgot Cutrone. He doesn't watch his man. And so he basically watched De Vrij moving and follow him instead of watching Bonaventura. So, I believe Bastos made a mistake. And here's my question, Al. How many mistakes will it take to see Bastos benched? Because this is not the first one.
500? I have no idea. I mean, it's not the first one, and it's tonight. I think the most worrying thing really with Bastos now is that he's not really learning from these mistakes as well, because that second goal there, it was almost, as far as I remember now, my memory when it comes to games can be a bit hazy, so tell me if I'm wrong, but as far as I remember, I think it was the Sampdoria game. There was an almost identical goal where De Vrij and Bastos both ended up marking the same man, and Bastos was at fault, and there was a free header. I think it was the Sampdoria game, but I might be wrong.
Where Quagliarella did the assist with a header to the other player. De Vrij was late, so didn't jump on him, and Bastos, instead of following his man, went to Quagliarella. Yeah,
so I mean, the problem is really that if you're wanting to stick up for Bastos, which I think we kind of have actually, a little bit, I think you want to see an improvement from him, and you want to see him kind of, learning from the previous mistakes he's made, whereas he keeps making quite similar mistakes, and that's more worrying than anything, really. I think Cáceres has to come into the team sooner or later, but after tonight, sooner rather than later, please, to be honest.
And the thing is, it looks like he's not improving. He's still the same player we saw in September. So physically impressive. You know that if you try to pass him only through the speed or the power, you're not going to be able to do it. But he still forget his man very often when he's in the box. And you should be learning from these mistakes, You should be knowing the movement you have to make. But instead, he's still making this mistake. So, I agree with you. I would give Cáceres a chance. Honestly, I would have tried today because he's even a player with experience.
I mean, Inzaghi's no fool, though. He obviously sees something in Bastos if he keeps giving him these chances. And I think at his best, we've seen the kind of player he can be, which is this very athletic, strong, mobile defender who's also, pretty talented with the ball at his feet. He knows how to pick a pass. He knows how to score a goal. So I think the best of Bastos is a seriously good player, but his game is littered with these errors.
Yeah.
And because when you play in that position, your errors are costly, and sooner or later that's going to take you out of the team. So I think the best Bastos is probably a better player than the best Cáceres. But at the same time, Cáceres probably offers more consistency, and that, as a defender, is likely to be a more valued asset.
Yeah, I agree. And he already played that type of matches, so he has the experience. It's true that Cáceres sometimes goes out of the match, but I believe he won't make the same mistakes twice. So I saw him physically very fit at Verona. I believe, and to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting Cáceres to start because Simone Inzaghi in the press conference yesterday said he needs to adapt to the Lazio tactics. So I said, if he's saying that, this means that he's not going to play today. But I still believe that Cáceres will start playing. And
that's fair enough, though. He's not been at the club for very long. So that's I think Inzaghi shouldn't really be criticised for selecting Bastos tonight too much, because if he wants more time with Cáceres to get him playing in the system, then you're left with an option of playing either Bastos, Wallace, Patrick, or Luis Felipe. But Felipe is better in the centre of the three, and Wallace is more error prone than Bastos is at the moment. So I think selecting him is not the worst decision he's made. It's just that, there has to come a point when enough's enough, really, in terms of mistakes.
And considering that there are so many matches coming on, I think turnover will be fundamental. So my belief is once Cáceres play, he's never going to be sub again, because he's going to prove to be much better than the others. Rami Al-Gendi, he's been talking about Caicedo being poor, Bastos mistakes, but there's something interesting. He said Lulic has had only 4 yellow cards. Why he will be out next week? Has he been sent off already in some matches? Don't remember.
Lulic?
Yep.
I assumed he'd picked up 5 yellow cards. I don't know.
Yeah.
You stumped me there. I think it's 5 yellow cards for a suspension, isn't it? So surely he has had 5 by now. I don't know.
Anyway, that's what they said. So I know he was in the list. It was Milinkovic, Leiva, Lulic. But again, he didn't play very well today, so I'm not disappointed he's going to miss the next match. Arvid saying VAR is a joke as long as referee are poor. I agree. I mean, the problem with VAR is that there is a referee watching, and he didn't notice nothing. So,
well, I think it just it's just saying, going back over the same thing we've said all season. It just seems like something that shouldn't be necessarily in the decision of the referee. It's if it's up to the clubs, the coach to challenge certain decisions, then it takes away a whole level of error. That just seems far more sensible way of doing it. But yeah, I'm kind of sick of talking about VAR at this point. It's just it's doing my head in, and the problem is as well that it's only just now becoming a discussion in the UK, really, because they've only just started integrating it into English football, and now in Scotland they're talking about it as well. And I've had enough of it already after watching Serie A this season. So, yeah.
Addi on Spreaker wrote, I think Milan deserved the win, first and second half. Lazio lacked grinta for a big part of the game. Biglia did a great job to quiet Savic, who was at times complacent. As for Bastos, it's not like we have much better option to replace him. Wallace is mistake prone as well, but agree, bad game. Any news of what happened to De Vrij? Al, do you want to reply?
With De Vrij, as far as I understand, it was just he felt something like a muscular problem, but as far as I know, not a particularly serious one. So I think it was more a precautionary thing. And yeah, well, in terms of Wallace and Bastos, he's right. That's what we've just been talking about, I suppose. You've got two defenders who are very accident prone, so hopefully Cáceres can come in and provide that consistency, yeah.
And what about Milan deserving to win? I don't agree, honestly.
No, I mean, like I said before, I think for me, a draw would have been the right results, given how the game went and the fact that Milan basically didn't do anything but defend for the last half hour of the game. Any game that's where one team is knocking on the door so loudly is quite hard to say. But, it's also a lot due to the fact that we're playing a Milan team, and you kind of forget, there's this disassociation between what the club is and where they are, because you think of playing AC Milan and then you think, actually, this isn't a good Milan performance, because historically they've been such a powerful club and they've won a lot of trophies, and you think that they should be at home to Lazio being the better team. But actually, given how their season's gone, putting in a defensive performance like that that's restricted our opportunities is quite an accomplishment for them. And I don't mean to say this in a condescending way. I think it's just a matter of fact, is that Milan haven't played particularly well this season. So for them to be able to take the lead against Lazio and hold on to the result is credit to them. But then, if you're talking... if we were talking about playing Genoa and we had the same game, then I would say fair play to them. They deserve a win because they play to their strengths. But because it's Milan, it's a bit different. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, and I didn't see Biglia playing that well, honestly. He didn't play as bad as in the first half of the season, but he didn't play that well, honestly. He made a couple of mistakes at the end of the match that could cost him the 3 points. So, and Milinkovic Savic, I think he's young. That's the type of player. He's gonna make mistakes. He's gonna make incredible plays. That's the type of player Milinkovic Savic is. I think he has been a little bit unlucky. He had the chances to score and wasn't perfect. Let's put it like that. But yeah, I think today we missed Ciro Immobile, or we missed Nani playing from the beginning, because Caicedo didn't have a chance at all, which is incredible for me. I don't know you.
Yeah, I think there were moments when he could have had chances, like I said before, but he instead chose to try and set someone else up for a chance. And that's one of the frustrating things about his game, really. So, like I said before, I think when you have Milinkovic Savic, who's being pushed further up the pitch and acting as the kind of target man, and he's such a danger in the air, he had a couple of really good chances with his head, saved by Donnarumma, and you kind of lose the necessity to have a player like Caicedo on the pitch if you're pushing Milinkovic Savic further up, I would say.
Um, Al, and to all our fans listening to us now, do you play Ciro Immobile Wednesday, or do you keep him for the Serie A match on Monday? And do you make a turnover? Do you make, Parolo and the starting player rest on Wednesday?
It's an interesting one. I think because well, with Ciro, I say definitely play him. If he's still struggling with any sort of problem with his injury, then I would start him and take him off in the second half. As for turnover for the rest of the squad, I think you have to play Milinkovic-Savic and Lulic now because they're going to be suspended for the next game. So they're going into the team, and you've already got a pretty strong team there if you've got Immobile, Milinkovic-Savic, and, well, maybe Lulic. So what I would like to see is Cáceres finally get a start. That would be good. I think if De Vrij's problem is more of a problem than it seemed, then it would be good to have Luis Felipe in the team. But we're talking about a cup semi-final here, so we're not talking about a Europa League group stage game where you're wanting to actually give other opportunities to players who don't usually get them. I would say that this is a game to play your strongest team. But at the same time, it might be also not really what Inzaghi wants to do, because he'll be aware that it's two legs. And, if we get a draw from this game, that's still a pretty good result, because then you can come back to Rome and go for the win. So, hard to say. I'd like to see Murgia for a start.
Yeah.
I think we all agree with that. The obvious ones are kind of Basta coming into the team, which he usually does. Perhaps Murgia coming into the midfield, and Nani and Anderson starting. But I would like to see Ciro in the team, at least for as a substitute or for the first half.
Ramiel Gendi say I'd play Nani and Felipe and keep Immobile for Genoa. I have to admit that I agree with him, especially knowing that Ciro, maybe play him the last 20 minutes, just to be sure he's fit for the match. And then, of course, De Vrij, no, he's not. He doesn't have to play on Wednesday. He has to recover. And I like Felipe Luis, so I will give him a go. And Murgia, yes, maybe play starting, maybe instead of Parolo, so he can rest. But yeah, let's not forget it's a semi-final, so not too much turnover. But yeah, there are key players that have to rest to be ready for Monday. I think Lazio is playing Monday against Genoa, so it would be really important to make them rotate a little bit.
Yeah, and yeah, the Genoa game is a big game as well. I suppose all the league games are from now on, really, because we've got third place. Despite losing tonight, we've still got a good lead in third place, and at home to a team struggling at the other end of the table is and it's a difficult one as well, because Genoa's defensive record since Ballardini's been there has been really impressive, actually. So we do need our. One thing we're not having a problem with is scoring goals, but Genoa's, you know what they're going to do already, which is come in and just try and play for a 0-0 as long as they can. So you need to make sure everyone's sharp for that game, and then Napoli comes soon after that. So from now on in, really, it's just important games all the time, and important games pretty much every 3 days as well, because we've got these Copa semi-finals, and the Europa League is about to start again not too long. So, yeah, I think it's a test for Inzaghi to know how to manage it properly, but it's something he's done already pretty effectively. So, yeah, hopefully he can continue that trend.
Yeah. One of the things we didn't talk still is performance of Inter and Fiorentina, for example. I was really looking forward to this match because I thought Inter is really struggling Roma, there are rumors of transfer market, etc. Lazio can really dig a big gap tonight, winning, and not secure the third place, but have a good gap. And with Inter playing that bad, I see that I don't see them having the chance to recover, especially if Lazio went up 5 points tonight.
Yeah, but there's no point in dwelling on these things. It is what it is. You win some and you lose some. I'm trying to think of a few more cliches. But I mean, if Inter are drawing against Spal, that's a good thing for us. Yes, they've gained a point on us by doing that, but if they've drawn against Spal, then it shows they're in a bad way. I know you could say that we also drew with Spal, but that was the first day of the season, so I think it's a slightly different circumstance. Roma is a slightly different one because I suppose it's a bit less predictable where they're going to be in the next few days, really, in terms of whether they have their star striker or not. So I think that's and I think Patrick Schick's picked up an injury again, so they're really struggling up front if they sell Dzeko and don't have Schick. So I think we're in a good position here. We have less problems than the teams around us. So that's a good position to be in. It's annoying to lose a game because we've not done it too much this season, but at the same time we're still in a very good position here. And I think we can still be pretty confident that we can hold on to it.
Yes. Di Marzio said today after the injury of Schick that maybe this could slow down the chances of Dzeko to move to Chelsea, but it looks like the discussion is still up, and Roma, in exchange of money, as Schick is injured, they're thinking of taking Batshuayi, put it in the deal from Chelsea. So we're going to see how things go. But as we said last time, probably it's the first time that Lazio arrived to the end of January and it's better than the competitors.
And the other thing as well is that if you look at the fixture list for the rest of the season in Serie A, there's obviously the next away game is against Napoli, which is going to be a really tough game. But once we're through that, the remaining Lazio away games, we've already had all the hard ones, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that the hardest team we've got after that is Fiorentina, and that's not not a particularly good Fiorentina team. So just looking at them now, might as well mention it now that I've said that. So after Napoli, it's Sassuolo, Cagliari, Udinese, Fiorentina, Torino, and Crotone. So in terms of away games, that's quite a good run in to the end of the season. And otherwise, you're just talking about keeping up the good home form. So that's a good position to be in. It's a strong fixture list going up to the end.
It's true that Lazio played much better away than at home, though. So don't know if this will mean that Lazio will struggle more at home.
I think that's a trend, though, rather than I think if you still ask the Lazio players, would you rather play your big games at home or away? They're going to say at home. So,
obviously.
It's great that Lazio have been in very good form away from home this season, but I still think if you're looking at the run-in, to be able to say you've got your harder games at home is a really positive position to be in, because I can't say I know off the top of my head what Inter and Roma's run-ins look like, but I think our one is looking pretty decent as long as we can keep playing the way that we have been.
Dayan Putra Tri Bambunkas, I hope I pronounce it well, from our Facebook page from Indonesian Lazio, ask about news about Immobile and De Vrij. We said Immobile should be able to play even Wednesday. De Vrij has a little muscle injury, but nothing serious. Probably he won't play this Wednesday, but should be able to play on Monday. yeah, he says, let's hope for a better fight and result in Coppa Italia. Yeah, we hope so. We believe it's going to happen. So let's cross fingers. I told you that Thursday night I went out with the Lazio Club Malta. I say a big hello to everybody because there was Delio Rossi here. He's managing Levski Sofia, and they have the winter break. So he brought the team here to do a little bit of training under the sun, and it was cool. I didn't have that much time. I asked him a couple of questions, and some things were really interesting. One of the first one was about Angelo Peruzzi. You know, he was the manager when Peruzzi decided to retire, and he said that on February he came to him and said, "Man, I'm done. I'm finishing. I'm retiring now, so I won't continue." So he went out at dinner with Peruzzi and his wife, trying to convince him, but the decision was too late. So he went to Lotito and said, you know, Peruzzi is retiring. He said he had still 1 year of contract, and he was around 1.5 million, something like that. And Peruzzi said, I don't care, I don't want that money, I'll retire at the end of summer, etc. And Delio Rossi went to Lotito and said, you know, Peruzzi would be really good to have in the club, like someone between me and you to interact with the players, show that the club is there, etc. And Lotito said, yeah, we're going to do it. And then it looks like he offered very, very low salary to Peruzzi, and that's why he didn't accept it. And then 3-4 years later, Peruzzi is back in the club. So Lotito understood his mistake. How would be life different if Peruzzi would have become the club manager 4 years ago?
So we can thank Delio Rossi for that happening.
Yeah. He said it was my idea.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then the second. Yeah, go on.
My next question was going to be, at which point of the evening did you both strip down to your underwear and jump in a fountain?
No, none.
The bet has to be the all-time greatest Delio Rossi moment.
No, instead I asked him about Simone Inzaghi. I told him, you know, because you manage Simone Inzaghi, and could you expect him to be a manager? And he said, not at all. Seriously, not at all.
Really?
Yeah. He said,
why?
He said he's a really good manager because probably he's doing completely the opposite of what he was doing when he was a player. He said he wasn't training that well in that period, and yeah, he was that type of player who was thinking only about scoring. So he didn't pay too much attention about, you know, the tactics and things like that. But he said he changed completely. And to be honest, Simone Inzaghi didn't play a lot with him, but he told me that he's still in contact with Simone Inzaghi. He's still in contact with Simone Inzaghi, with Kolarov, with Ledesma, with a lot of former players of Lazio. And he told me that every time he spoke with Inzaghi, he said, you know, I couldn't believe you could have been a coach. And Inzaghi said, you're right, man. You're right, Delio. But he said something very important. He said Inzaghi is a good manager, but what's making the difference is the team he's having. He said that he's surrounded by a very valid team. You know, Faris, he's considered very good tactic. Grigioni is one of the best goalkeeper trainer in Serie A, if not in the world. So he said that Inzaghi was very smart in that. And Delio Rossi said, this is my mistake because I tend to do everything on my own. Instead, Inzaghi and Sarri, he said, Sarri as well a lot, tend to delegate to his team a lot of things. And Inzaghi is another one, but he chooses a very good staff, so it's helping him making the right decision.
That's brilliant, great stuff. Some Lazio Lounge exclusive material there.
Yeah.
Is it? Did you ask him if he's planning on a return to Lazio at any stage?
No, he didn't say it clearly, but I understood that the relationship with Lotito is terrible. It's terrible.
Well, that's not a surprise, is it?
No. He said that he wouldn't manage Salernitana, so I don't believe. He still follow Lazio a lot, but he wouldn't. I think the relationship with the Lotito is not good, so he wouldn't come back. And he said that he's now looking for different experience. He said, in Serie A I train already a lot. Now I'm looking for something different. Now I'm in Bulgaria, that it's very, very different. He wants to end his career going back and training kids. So I believe that's going to be his next step.
Okay, so how's he doing in Bulgaria with Sofia?
Well, he said it's not easy because there are a lot of foreigners. Of course, he doesn't speak the language, so it's very difficult. He said he has like 3 translators, one with the team and one with the press and one with the president. But it's interesting. He said his goalkeeper is very good. He's 19 years old. He's really promising. And he started learning Italian just to improve because the goalkeeper coach is Italian. So to improve his communication, he's learning Italian.
That's quite interesting, getting the player to learn the language rather than the goalkeeping coach.
Well, Bulgarian is quite complicated. So you write in Cyrillic. So
in Cyrillic, yeah. I went to Bulgaria last year actually, and I didn't realise that until I arrived, and I didn't understand anything at all.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, all right. Well, brilliant. Good work, Vittorio.
Thanks. I have to thank all the Lazio Club Malta for inviting me. Let's go back to the questions. We have Moses Alabi on Spreaker. Inzaghi was thinking about the cup match. His replacement wasn't for changing the game result as to give rest to the players, Leva, De Vrij and Marusic. Not sure. De Vrij was sub because he was nearly injured. Leva, I think he did it already in the past to try to attack and try to score. And Marusic, he wasn't playing really well, to be honest with you. I don't know, Alistair, if you agree.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was strange to take off Lucas, like we said before. Marusic was quite an interesting one because it seemed like Felipe Anderson was kind of taking up his role after that, which is something we kind of questioned whether that would happen while he was out injured. But I think what we kind of learned from that is that if that is going to happen, it's probably as a last resort, desperately needing a goal kind of situation rather than a kind of sustainable position for him. But I don't know, I mean, Marusic, yeah, he scored a good goal, but I don't think he was too bad tonight. I think it's a bit harsh to single him out for criticism. I think he started quite badly, but the rest of the game, I think, he wasn't particularly worse than anyone else.
And then we have Ramiel Gendi, who's asking news about Stefano Mauri. So he passed the course for sport director. I don't know. I mean, at the moment there is Iglitare, and I wouldn't replace him. So I don't think there are news on that side. Probably they're looking to find a position for him in the club with Iglitare. I believe that's going to be the option. But for the moment, he's just studying, maybe learn a little bit of more things. But he passed the exam like a couple of months ago, so he can become a sport director. Now I don't know if maybe he's going to go to Salernitana to do it, etc. But honestly, there are not any more rumors about that. So probably we're talking about next summer.
Yeah, I was going to say Salernitana seems like the obvious solution for anyone in Lazio who doesn't actually have space in the real team. Yeah, it'd be great to have guys like him involved again. I mean, mentioning Peruzzi before, we can see what a positive impact he's had at the club, and I think it's great to be able to integrate former players and particularly, fan favourites back into the team after they've retired. I think it's a great way of kind of creating a kind of community family atmosphere within the club. So yeah, it'd be great to see him back if there's a role for him.
Yeah, I think this was one of the biggest mistake of Lotito, not surrounding himself of former Lazio player or very well-known Lazio fan. And finally, he's doing that. So it's good to see Lazio club full of former Lazio player. I think there's space for more, honestly. But it's good to have your coach that was a Lazio player, your sport director that is a Lazio player, Peruzzi there as well. So that's really great. Al, I don't know.
He's doing what Bastos couldn't and learning from his mistakes.
Well, that was cool. Not bad. Shall we wrap it up here, or you have something more to say?
No, not until the next VAR controversy.
I have to tell you something. I'm really serious. The episode you missed, we had incredible traffic. Then you came back, and it didn't go that well.
Do you think there's a suggestion of something going on there?
You said it.
It's only because I was so transfixed by the episode that I listened to it about 300 times just by myself. So, you're welcome.
Yeah. Let's say that your position could be in danger.
Yeah, I am the Bastos of Lazio Lounge. One more mistake and I'm out.
The market is still open till a couple of days, so
Oh God.
So promote the podcast this week.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Remember, to everybody, you can follow us on Spreaker, subscribe to our iTunes channel, YouTube, follow us on our social platform, Twitter and Facebook. And if you like it, please share with other Lazio fan or other Serie A fan, and so we can reach a wider target. Thank you very much, Alistair, and we're going to talk Wednesday, I presume.
Yes, next game every 3 days at the moment, so we'll do the same thing all over again.
Okay. Have a good night. Al, thank you for joining me. Bye.
See you next time.